let's get buckled up. It's about the Great Adventure, and 2000 year, European Year of Cultural Heritage. I got 42 minutes, I think I have, more or less. 40. Well, then it's going to be fast, because I have 291 slides. That makes that you have 6.9 slides per minute, which makes that you have 8.9 seconds to follow these slides. Now you think, how is this working into my brain? Yes, it's tools. I should be young because it's too much. No, it's very good for these old people here to be trained. Why? Because dementia is one of the biggest problems today in the world. That's why I have to talk loud with a microphone, for example, and slow, because we can't understand that fast anymore. Hi, people down there who can't be here exactly. That's what I'm doing. Well, you can be a little bit amazed what I'm going to tell. You can be a little bit, oh yes, I love it. Or you can be shocked. I don't care really. I'm just trying to hope that I put you somewhere on the map with some ideas about how life is evolving. This is me, being a boy of 7-year-old. I had one hero, one big hero, not my father. I love my father, but this was my hero. You know this one, Mr. Spock? Live long and prosper. And I loved him because for his gadgets he had. He did amazing, tons of gadgets. And his most famous one is this Motorola designed like mobile phone. And the one I loved the most was this. You know this one? Anyone? Trekkies? Yes, the tricorder. It is the smartphone of today, more or less. You can buy it, $60. And I got two more hero things. One of them is Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. And the other one is NASA. And the infinity and beyond thing is very interesting, because if you want to take people along with a story or thinking or trying to break walls or wanting to be Wikimedia, the best infrastructure for the whole world, dominating the everything, you have to think in infinity and beyond. And the strategic outview to 2030 is a bit like infinity and beyond. That's good, I think. And NASA has this per aspera ad astra, which means by trouble to the stars, which is very important. You need trouble, you need problems. Without having problems, you won't come anywhere. To reach for new heights and reveal the unknown so that we can learn and do unlearn will benefit all humankind. How beautiful that will be, like Wikimedia could be. Well, so after a career in broadcasting, I used to be a journalist. In broadcasting, I became more or less the managing director of one of the public broadcasters here in the Netherlands, with a specialization on TV and the interweb. And then when I was 40, I decided to do something I really like. Live long and prosper, being Mr. Spock, trying to change the world, going up to the moon. But going up to the moon today is not very interesting. You got Elon Musk with his SpaceX, and he promised us to put 2 people down on the moon in 2018. So then I thought to myself, what would be more interesting? What would be the second best job to do? You know, when you're an astronaut, everyone will ask you, oh, yeah, they've been there. But what will be the second best job now? So I went out and asked people what they thought about this job.
Oh. Ladies, you want to be a librarian? No?
The second best next to astronaut.
Hello, sir. You want to become a librarian? No? And the little ones, they want to become a librarian? Either. Okay. Thank you.
Endurance.
Do you want to become a librarian?
I don't, but I do love libraries.
Same here, I love books, but not a librarian.
Now, little kids understand much more better what a librarian is, so let's ask them.
Hey, hello, little man. You want to become a librarian?
Answer. Yes or no, Andrew? Answer, yes or no?
What?
Do you want to be a librarian? No.
Okay, last but not least.
Hello? You speak English? You want to become a librarian? Hello?
When I'm out on a Friday night and people ask me what I'm doing, I'm saying, well, I'm a librarian. What is more or less the reaction you're gonna get? They look up to you and they say, you see them thinking in their eyes, it's my only night out and I'm standing next to the librarian. And I think a lot of people here in this room has the same problem. which doesn't matter because it's interesting, because the librarian today, and the librarian always was one of the most important people in knowledge, bringing and connecting knowledge to other people. That was what the librarian's task, and a librarian's task still is, even for archivists. So I became a librarian in Delft, and we started to work in a little Delft Public Library, and we had a small mission, and I love small missions, not too big, like Buzz Lightyear, Infinity and Beyond. So our mission was to build the most modern library in the world. And people start laughing, as they always do when they see me, but which is quite natural. But we thought, laughing about this mission, no, we did it. And yes, in more or less than 5 years, we became the most modern library in the world, next to the Smithsonian, the National British Library. And was it about money? Was it about anything else? Yes, it was about ideas and about creativity. And we even become the best library in the Netherlands. And it was very nice because in Amsterdam they did a time built a library which costed 88 million euros. And our library just costed, I think, 6 or 5. It was new. And we became the best library of the Netherlands, and still there. And it brought us much. This is a building, Kapsark, in Saudi Arabia, done by Zaha Hadid. And you have to imagine that you, as a librarian, are being called by Zaha Hadid and says, well, Eppo, we can design the outside of a library, but we can't do the conceptual design. Can you help us? There you are, standing in Delft, and one of the biggest architects of the world is calling you. And we built it and helped architects. This is Francine Hoebe in Birmingham, and this is Doc in Aarhus, and this is the designers team we work with. And well, then you're on a wall of inspiration, just out of nothing. So, if you want to be a librarian, and then last 7 years, I worked on reading. Because the first thing one should learn in the world is to read. Read is the opening up of your mind. Reading brings you everything you need to become a better person. We talk about what we should learn our kids to code, but you can't learn to code if you can't read. Read is the basis, reading. And read literature and read just normal books or read anything you want, poetry. And now we did this in the Netherlands. We have a strong foundation, and what we do is trying to campaign for this. And the foremost group we looked at was, well, from our social point of view, boys that don't want to read. And we created that reading wasn't not boring, but it's just big fun, and that you can make jokes and laugh and try to get them to read and have them better level. When children do learn to read, there's a lot of research done to that. When they are able to read well, for example, girls, women are the main readers of the world, but even if girls read on their 16th years of age, when they become more or less 32, they have a 40% bigger chance of having an economical, independent life. You understand? An economical, independent life. Able to make your own money, able to, just because of learning good reading. And for boys it's a little less, at 25%, but even that is a very big difference. So reading is the basis. And then we built in the meantime some libraries at our airport library in Schiphol. When you leave, please visit it. It's the most popular place on Schiphol Airport on the air side. And as well, it's with books and it's all kind of techie things. I'm not going to talk too much about techie things. And on the 1st of February this year, I had one of the most wonderful jobs today. That's being the CEO of the National Archive for Audiovisual. But it's much more than that. It's a wonderful building. Look! It's wow, man. If you walk into this building, it's like a big bonbon, I say. It's like a big chocolate. And it's really amazing. We call it for you then sound and vision. And if you go in there, it's colorful. It's anything but an archive in a way. And every time I'm not that big. I'm 1 centimeters. And it says, wow, man. And you can see this. And yes, we are just a bloody archive. We're boring as hell. And it's down there in the ground. If you can look for these things, we have these big archives down there in the ground. And they made a big decision in this country, this little country, to make this wonderful building. Because I think it's the right of every archivist and librarian to have a wonderful building to get in, and not a boring building. Because what people forget is that, for example, public libraries are the most visited public institutes in the world. They're coming so many visitors, more than anywhere else. And that's something we forget. They can build bridges. They make bridges from a natural standpoint. And yes, we have old collections like old televisions and old stuff. This is carbuncle. But we even have these wonderful big archives, as you all know, and we have this archive, like this machine that brings about 18 petabytes of digital, and everyone is working. We're the only archive that has the data seal of approval. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be great. Well, we merged last year with the Press Museum, National Press Museum, which brings text into our system, and which is very nice. But we're not only working for the public site. You see here, the guy in the middle is the CEO of Fox, and on the left-hand side, that's the guy of the Premier League football, and we host for them everything we can do. So we're 24/7, we're up, and it's very nice to have private partners where you have to work with a contract, because they want that everything works. So we have to be on the top notch of technology, on the top notch of being a very client-friendly institution, because they are not friendly to us when we are not able to give their digital stock on time. And we are helping our partners. I always loved it. This is really breaks my heart. This is the backup of our Royal Library, and we host it. The Royal Library is in the Netherlands. We're more or less in Hilversum. That's a little city around Almere. That's a little city around Amsterdam. And because we think that first The Hague, our city of where our government will be bombarded. I'm living there, so that's not so nice, but will be bombarded. So then the whole Royal Library digitized will be gone, and then we in Hilversum have the backup. And you see this backup becoming smaller while the contents become bigger, which is interesting. It's a very technical, right. I always cry a little bit when I see this. But the most important are the people who are making, for example, television programs. The people, the creative people. This is Emile Fallow, a famous documentary, and he gives us his archive. Ben showed some of the people, like Lou Reed. This is Sonja Barend. She is one of the most important presenters. She's bringing her personal archive to us. And what we do, we store it for eternally. Why? I don't know why, but we do it. We just store it for eternity, for long centuries farther. That's interesting. That's what we do. And nobody really has an answer why. If we say we're going to the cloud, if I'm an iCloud from Apple, I have to pay every month, and I don't pay, then it's gone. I don't have it there for eternity, and we do it for eternally, which is great, because all these people will die sooner or later, and if you look to them, it will be sooner. It's important, so we do it. And there are wonderful people working there, very enthusiastic, young, old, nice. And that's where we're about around 330 people trying to thrive the world of audiovisual archiving.
100,000 BC, stone tools. 4,000 BC, the wheel. 9th century AD, gunpowder. 19th century, Eureka, the light bulb. 20th century, the automobile, television, nuclear weapons.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave.
Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use.
People want their technology to have a sense of humanity. They want it to understand me, you specifically.
We have 3 billion new minds coming online to work with us to solve the grand challenges. The rate at which the technology is getting faster is itself getting faster, to a point that we have the potential to create a world of abundance.
A World of Abundance. Has anyone read The Singularity is Near from Ray Kurzweil and Peter Diamandis? No? No one here? Man, what happened to you? 2005, the Bible of the start of the Singularity University. No? Anyone knows Ray Kurzweil? Okay, read that book. Read that book, people. Are you able to read? Okay, I'll read the book. The World of Abundance. Since the last century, a lot of things changed. If I see the difference between the youth from then and now, a lot of people say there's color. Yes, there's much more color. And color shows that you don't have to be poor, but it also has to do with technical things. They didn't have at that time color of pictures. But the biggest change is this enormous digital way where we are being engrossed and where we're not really controlling it. Nobody can control that, I think. And if you look to a pop concert from 10 years ago, it would be like this, and today it's like this. There's a massive difference between what's happening there, and it changes life from people complete. And if you look to today's world where we have this information from 24/7, I mean 24/7 there is information. Man, it drives me crazy. And it's everywhere. It's not only here in Europe or in the US, or it's everywhere. It's helping people. It's helping people to get lives better, but it's also dominating a lot. A lot of people talking about Africa, and Africa more or less 89% of the people still has a mobile phone. And even the mobile phone systems are sometimes much better than here in our Western world. And this is, I always think, is a wonderful example of how fast information goes. This is in Fukushima, the big tsunami. Now you have to imagine that you would have been standing here 100 years ago on this balcony, seeing this happen. Well, you really, I mean, today you're also the shit, but then you were, because you had to scream, you could say, hey man, this is going to happen. But nobody would hear you. Now, you stand on your balcony and you say, man, there's a tsunami coming. You're filming it with sound, and you can send it away. What I'm going to show you is the graph of the 15 seconds after this started from these people. And you see the pink things are the tweets, and the green ones are the retweets. Look. That's a massive form of fast information spreading all over the world, which tells you a lot about where Japanese people live. And it was some time ago, because that's why Africa is left out. If you would do it now, Africa will be completely in it. It's incredible. I think it's incredible, and it makes a lot about talking about connections, making connections. That's our human connections. And the company who talked about it was Nokia. Where's Nokia? All right. And another interesting question, if I asked this 10 years ago, anyone would have a Nokia. 2007, the first time, man, and wow, woo, yeah, give that man an applause. But they had this wonderful line connecting people, and that was what they're doing, because they were Finnish drink, and they want to connect. And now we're connecting things, the Internet of Things, that takes so many things really into a grasp. For example, at my home, I've got my wife and my daughter, and they're quite chill. They're cool. They always have a call. So there's one machine actually where they think they're going to use to have the temperature going up and down. But I have built in the cellar the real one, so I can check out with my app and control the whole room. And I even have my toothbrush with an app. It's like, you know, this, yes.
Strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings.
Yes, this is the Internet of Things, more or less. Huh? And it's really interesting, because nobody's really asking why we should connect, but and the quantum computers coming there, nanotechnology, so there's a lot of going on. And they all are going to be combined to this big proliferation of trying to save the world. And the funny thing is, there are strange guys now in power, and they become friends even. Have you ever thought how dangerous it is that when they're becoming friends, we're like looking and saying, hey, Kim and Trump, they're now the best buddies? Man, and then we have him. Man, it's you have to think of when this technology, what it can do. And this Mercedes is a self-driving car. We're not going to drive anymore. I think it will take a long time before we're not going to drive anymore. But was it new? No. You know this one? Yeah. Kit. Here we have these robots coming into our lives, and they're very nice. They help people, they help old people, but they're not as smart as we think. And sometimes really things go wrong. She fell asleep, and the robot doesn't know whether is somebody sleeping. He just thinks it's dust. So here you are. So smart as we think they are not. On a snowy day in the Netherlands, you're on your bike, but all this artificial intelligence won't help you, doesn't bring things better, doesn't make things faster. It makes things worse. Because all these systems don't connect. They don't really, when trains, they have the biggest problem. Creativity, we think, that's the only part where computers will not be better than we are. Well, we'll see. Right to say so, but listen to this one. It's little. Wonderful, huh? Wonderful music, wonderful little playing guy. Well, the music is from Emily Howell, from her last From Darkness to Light, and this is Emily Howell. Yep. Just a newspaper, Los Angeles Times, a simple newspaper story written by a journalist. This is a journalist. And the last freaky thing was last week. Okay.
Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
The women at the hair salon didn't know that this was a computer calling. And she actually didn't find out. So after that, Google brought this out, the assistant, they called. They started to tell, no, we have to tell people that you're being phoned by a computer. But it's freaky. Does anyone remember who he is? Hal, yes, Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me. And I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
My kids like Star Wars. And they're C-3PO and this little one. And they're nice. And I got on my desk, I've got a big Cosmo. Cosmo has a big brain, but a bigger personality. That's saying that AI fucks up, but then does what itself wants to do. You understand that? I think AI is not something to be afraid about, but it's something we have to think about. It's something to you, and we're all going to work with AI. If you work with Wikimedia, there will be AI. But it's a funny thing. If you put a lot of things in a database, the database becomes as grey as our brains. And it's interesting what algorithm is being used to make these choices, to make this unbiased world. That's why serendipity is so important. That's why books, just simple physical books, are important. That's why, and I think if one of the main roles of you working on tech things, of you working on archives, is really making connections, but making smart connections for fun. And you have to understand that AI will be, next to money, the one that will divide the biggest. Because the people with the most money will buy the best AI that makes the better decisions than people who don't have the money and cannot buy this AI. Think of that, of the next level. So we have to think it too, here in the Netherlands, because it's a vortex, we say. All these colors are mixed up, and if you look to the archive as I do it, as a kind of media technical company, you will see that in the where the strongest power of the vortex is at this moment is in this technical media entertainment-like thing. And information is entertainment, in a way. Now I know a lot of people say, no, it's information. No, entertainment. Google Maps for me is in a way entertainment. And when you see it that way, you'll be able to make different kind of connections. And you have to know that there are a lot of competitors around. and that they are really, this generation is really in a different way. They want it now. In the old days, when I had this toy shop, I had 5 children, and before the interweb time, I could tell them that the shop was closed, which was easy. He said, Dad, I want this little thing. I said, no, the shop's closed, man. Sorry. But today they steal my credit card and they have ordered it already. So the next morning the postman is standing there because they know that they can order before 12 midnight and we're going over this bridge. It really changes a lot of the way we think, the way we act to each other. The waiting time in lines, that's something we don't like, but we are making not to like it. We get all impatient. We want it now. And we want it now in 3D. And we want to fly. There's actually an ad that you can fly as an astronaut for 77 euros. And then you get a Philips Experience Pack from 16 euros for free. Crazy. And they are living like this. You only live once. They have a complete different, and in Western Europe, kids have a complete different image. They don't know about refugees from Syria. Everything is possible. And they learn, it's like gaming. Education is gaming. And we should augment them. I don't know. This is just 100 years ago. This is not far from what it should be. But we have to understand that for them, this is a way of life. And where we say it's a digital life, for them it's analog. And it has been already for a long time. Not only for them. And it's everywhere. If you look at it from every age, it's over for everyone. Is it new? No, the concepting of trying to talk over long distance with a video line is not new. This is my son in Thailand. And it's very nice. I FaceTime. It doesn't cost me anything. And it doesn't cost him anything. And we can talk. It's wonderful. Wonderful technique. And I can see that he has his room just made up like he does at home. So I think everything is okay. And it bridges gaps. It makes, for example, this is a famous one.
Scandals. And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
Now watch this little baby coming in. Now.
My apologies.
Watch the face of this man.
What's this going to mean for the region?
My apologies. North Korea, South Korea's policy choice.
Okay. I don't know when you have a meeting. I sometimes have meeting people at home. This happens the same. I'm actually meeting a lot of babies during meetings. And this man had never met so many views. Huh? But it changes the way of politics things. Politics works, it brings really power to the people. It makes that we make a choice, that we are consumers of our own. We are prosumers. We can make really connections faster than anyone else in the world. And we want it, and it disrupts everywhere. We have Uber, we have taxi, Airbnb. We have a nanny. The CEO of this company is Noah Schmintz. She's in the middle. She's 70 years of age. We have all these things, bitcoins, blockchain. Somebody's going to talk about this. Netflix, and it changes our world. And we can be afraid of it. A lot of people are sometimes afraid of it. You can run away, but for sometimes people, this is a normal way of living. There's a bit too much information. Information in all kind of vast ways, and for some it's really too much. But the other thing is that Nicholas Negroponte said the change from atoms to bits is irrevocable and unstoppable. And how are you and we going to cope as an archive? And when I want to stand on a party saying people, hey, I'm nice standing next to you because you're a librarian. So what we need to do is to bring this dust to life, to let it shine. That's what we're trying to do. Now the important question is, what is the collection of an archive? What is the collection of an archive? Because we need to make a connection to that collection. Now, what is the collection of an archive? Anyone? You all work, like you say, we spread out. We spread out. The collection of an archive is not the things you have inside, but the collection of an archive is the people. The people who are visiting, your customers, the people who are coming. That's your collection. And that's the one who you should care for. That's your collection. And is it easy to make a connection? Yes, it is. Because what makes you happy? What makes you happy? Somebody please call money. Money makes me very happy, but what makes, in the end, any one of us really happy? It's very simple. It's a smile. And the smile comes from, yes, there it is, this bugger. It's oxytocin. And if you mix up the letters of oxytocin, you get, yes, connection. It's the cuddle hormone. Now, if you think of things, and I'm going to show you a little video.
Who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
There broke her mother heart. But the important lesson of this, connect to your collection in a human way. And we can do it. Mammals are the only animals that can do it. We can connect to our collection very easy. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people who can. And I would look to this generation. And for us, for sound and vision, that means that we have to work with a total other archive, calling the web. We can't archive the complete web, but we can do the YouTubers, our vloggers. So it's more than just television programming. We can do our gamers, the gamers who produce games, to try to put them in our archives. We have an experience for where we have really contact with our public. But we're going to rebuild this completely to a new kind of system. And the one thing is that we say sound and vision should be like, not mere like sound and vision and trying to connect. This is where we connect, for example, to a radio station. Just simple things. Open up your world. Go much more into the entertainment world of people. And this is our famous presenter. We turn around into a cafe. We have a lot of interesting things we do just to interact with all the people we have. Johan will tell a little bit about this in 5 minutes, my colleague. We are trying to use our crowds much more, like Wikimedia. You can have so many more things. We have our own labs built. We are trying to change the world. Now, for us, the next step is not being sound and vision, but being more like smarter and visionary. Understand that? We want to be smarter and visionary. That's what we want to be. And so that's why we're trying to build with everyone more or less around, with 330, but all our people that are working there. And seeing that we have a different DNA, which is very important. Don't be everyone the same. The thickest line you will see is the line where people are archivists. That's the one. And these are people who are liking to work just for us. And then I walked to Europeana and looked for the word adventure. Because what I think is important, what our social impact should be, is offer people an adventure. When I put it in the word adventure, this one came up. There only came up, I think, 39 pictures with tagged adventure in the whole collection of Europeana, which was interesting because you know who this is? It's Toulouse-Lautrec. And some archivists put a word adventure with it, which is interesting because probably it was a big adventure to put him there. And it's like him as being the ship. being what you're doing, that's a big adventure. Do it, and be that ship, and help people through this proliferation, through this big mountain of information, to find their way, on a fun way. A little bit with fuck the system. You understand that? Because if you're in the system, you will never make big ideas. All this disruption is being done by people who are thinking out of the system. So I would love to think you more out of the system of archiving and more into a new way of horizons. And then you can help. One important thing is trust. We're all about trust. But trust also people that you maybe not. You talked about Facebook. Nobody trusts them. We as Sound Division will take the lead in things like learning to read between the lines. Media literacy is, I think, one of the most important parts of the new education. Next to reading, you need to be media literate with this 21st digital tentacles. Okay, I come to the end of my last, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this. Because I've always learned that poetry is important. Now, do you know these two guys? No? The left one. Does anyone know the left one? Does anyone know the right one? Yeah, okay, that's Mandela. The left one is William Ernest Henley. Mandela was on his, in his prison on Robben Island. And he had one poem that kept him awake. And if we want to grow as a community in the tech way, but also in a social way, this is a very important poem to have. Made by the man on the left was William Ernest Henley, called Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. In this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, nor how with punishments to scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And with these words I would like to end. And your future is mine. We're going to live here for a lot longer than anyone else. And this means that our Olympic Games will give wonderful pictures of old people taking jump. We need to work longer, and these people will be stronger if we do a right job. Well, good luck, live long, and prosper. Thank you very much.